What is up, guys? Rick Cactus here, keeping you up to date with the latest Destiny 2 news and information. And today we've got a lot of interesting things to talk about. We've got a look at the Sentinel Titan Subclass, and we've got some important information about the beta that just came out. So, let's get started firstly with the Sentinel Titan. As someone who mains Titan, hashtag Titan Master Race for life, I am so excited for the Sentinel. Like, hopefully this thing will convert some of you hunters out there, but seriously, this Sentinel looks incredibly versatile. Now, this information is coming from IGN. They're continuing their basically tirade of new Destiny 2 information. They've got a deal with Bungie right now, so pretty much every day they're going to be showcasing new D2 information. Today they produced a video about the Sentinel Titan. That's of course going to be linked in the description down below if you guys want to check it out. But let's go over the highlights of that video. And again, the versatility really stood out. Firstly, you've got incredible offense. Like, you've got the ability to throw your shield, and that thing does massive damage. Firstly, it bounces off walls and pretty much any surface like crazy. So when you pop your Sentinel Titan Super, looks like you'll automatically have the ability to either bash with it, melee with it, or just throw it at enemies. Last video, there was the usage of this super by someone at IGN, and they only once threw their super. I kind of missed it because they threw it at a really weird camera angle. It hit a wall. It looked very strange, but it does look like they did throw it, and so that indicates that this is a universal ability, that you're automatically going to be able to throw your shield at any time with this Sentinel Titan. Now, again, it bounces off pretty much everything. So if you're in a hallway and you throw it at one wall, it'll bounce and hit the other wall and start zigzagging down that hallway. It also has a very strange and cool interaction with enemies. We've seen it hit one enemy and then ricochet off an enemy to another one, which is definitely going to increase your killing potential. But also, there was some times where it looked like it hit an enemy and then just kept going. So perhaps there's an actual skill that you can spec into that will make it ricochet off enemies in close proximity, or just go straight through them and continue on and, you know, hit a bunch of enemies that are maybe lined up. Now, we didn't actually get a look at the legitimate Sentinel subclass nodes, so again, this is a little bit of speculation, but it was very interesting to see some more footage of that shield in action. But the Sentinel Titan also has a huge degree of defense. You have a block available that is basically functionally the same as the sword block, but it seems like you're going to have some degree of mobility with this block ability. One of the developers was saying that you can still move around and potentially even jump around while using this block ability. So that is incredibly powerful, and it really lends itself to blocking kind of on the fly. Now, again, it wasn't specified whether you're going to automatically gain this ability or it's something you have to spec into, but it definitely looks very interesting. Now, speaking of we're still going, guys. We're just still talking about how much stuff you can do with this super. So far, it's like shield bash, melee, you can throw it, you can block, and if you are using the Sentinel Titan and you press the super buttons, you're going to activate your super as we've seen. But if you hold the super activation buttons, you're going to deploy the Ward of Dawn. And the Ward of Dawn is, of course, an incredibly powerful ability. Heck, it's its own super in Destiny 1, and you're basically getting it for free if you play the Sentinel in Destiny 2. That just seems insanely powerful to me. Now, it was mentioned beforehand that you could do this with the Sentinel. This is the first time we're actually kind of seeing gameplay of it, actually, in Destiny 2. And does it look bigger to you guys? Like, I'm going to put it side by side with Destiny 1. It looks a little bit bigger to me. Now, this could just be a weird angle, but that would be very interesting. Also, by the way, it looks like Armor of Light, as you can see down here in the corner, is back for the Ward of Dawn as an ability. So that is kind of interesting. But as I was saying earlier, it was talked about that you could do this, and Luke Smith, when he was talking about this, seemed to allude that you might have to spec into Ward of Dawn. That it's not going to be a universal ability so that you can automatically, as soon as you unlock, the super for the subclass, you can hold down the buttons and do Ward of Dawn. But rather, you're going to have to pick the right attunement within your subclass to get access to Ward of Dawn, which honestly kind of seems fair because it's such a powerful ability to be able to do this on top of being able to run around and throw your shield at people. Now, of course, you can't do both at the same time. Once you get your super energy, you can choose to go into shield mode or go into Ward of Dawn mode, but that is, again, that versatility is incredibly, incredibly powerful. And speaking of the Ward of Dawn, the developers also went into talking about that the Ward of Dawn will now visually show you how much damage it has taken. So initially, when you deploy the Ward of Dawn in Destiny 2, there's going to be kind of particles flowing around and everything is going to look rather peaceful. But as you take more damage, holes are going to start to appear within your Ward of Dawn, and the particles are going to be moving around in a much more frenzied state, and it's just going to look like it's taken more and more and more damage until it eventually goes away, which I think is very, very good. In Destiny right now, it isn't very intuitive, especially visually, how much damage your Ward of Dawn has taken. You don't know whether it's, a full super away from going down or one shot away from going down in Destiny 1. So in Destiny 2, that is going to be addressed. Now also, during this Defender Titan video when it was showing off the Ward of Dawn, there looks to be a public event. This is kind of our first-person look at a public event in Destiny 2. It's a Cabal excavation, and right now you can see he's standing in a certain area overriding the lander, I guess, and that seems very, very familiar when we're talking about public events within Destiny. But a very interesting thing, if you look up to the left-hand corner, you can see override the mining lander. Fine, that's what he's doing. But then it says Guardians linked 3 of 3. That's really interesting. We've never had a cap to public events, right? Right now, anyone can show up who wants to and, contribute towards the goal. Maybe in Destiny right now, and I'm just clueless, that there's actually a built-in cap that if you have 4 people, it doesn't go any faster than 3. But in Destiny 2, that's very clear. Only 3 of 3 Guardians can be linked. So hopefully you can have, of course, the negative connotations, and I want to address this because I think some people are going to say this, is, are you only going to be able to have 3 people in a public event area? And I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think it just has to do with how fast you can get these things overriding, and then more people, like the 4th, the 5th, the 6th people can show up, but they're not going to contribute towards how fast these things go down. But that is kind of interesting that there's a cap now, and there's also a very clear time limit below that as well. Alright, now moving on from there, we've got some very important information about the Destiny 2 beta. I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering, when can I start to download the beta? Well, we actually got the answer to that, at least partially, today. PlayStation Access, which is official, said in their new video that the beta would be available to pre-download Thursday at 6 p.m. GMT. Now, if you're wondering where is that when I live, just literally type that 6 p.m. GMT into Google and it will tell you exactly what time it is where you live. So that is quite a few days. Like Thursday is, well, tomorrow, that's the 13th, and the beta comes out the 18th. Now this, of course, is from PlayStation Access, so this is for the PlayStation for sure. Likely it's global time, so the Xbox can download it at the same time as well, but potentially not. So PlayStation for sure, you guys can start downloading the beta tomorrow, Thursday. So that's going to give plenty of time before the actual launch date for the early access PlayStation players on the 18th. Now some really quick beta FAQs, because I know I'm going to get some of these in the comments. If you pre-ordered digitally, you're good. You're going to get to download and play at the appropriate times. You're good to go. If you pre-ordered physically and you got the beta code and you entered that beta code properly on Bungie.net and connected your account, you should be good as well. That's really all you need to do because it's connected to your account. When your account goes into the marketplace and tries to download the beta, it'll be able to, and it'll also be able to play at the appropriate time. A lot of people keep asking about emails and stuff. When am I going to get emails? I have no idea what those people are even referring to. You get the beta code on the actual receipt when you buy it at GameStop or wherever, or at least you should have. Then you enter that code at Bungie.net. That's really all you need to do. Now remember, according to Bungie, the Destiny 2 beta goes live at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So that's the 18th for PlayStation, the 19th for Xbox, and the 21st for an open beta. And guys, speaking about the beta, something potentially pretty cool was leaked. A Destiny 2 ad on Instagram, when simply putting out something to advertise the beta, said, as you can see in the description, that there's going to be 2 story missions. Play the first 2 story missions. Now, this is the first time, if true, we are hearing about this. We've already had confirmation that you're going to get to play the Homecoming story mission that was available to play at the World Gameplay Premiere and at E3 and so on. So this was common knowledge, but we have not heard anything about a second story mission. So if this is the case, if the Destiny Instagram account slipped up, that's pretty cool. There's going to be 2 story missions. Now there's also, however, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't mention this, there's also a huge possibility that this is just a mistake. That some random guy is running the Destiny Instagram account and he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he looked at the crib sheet and saw there's going to be the Homecoming mission and the Strike, and he thought those are 2 different missions. And he's just misquoting or something like that. It also just could be a pure mistake, like they don't know what they're talking about. Who knows? However, if you'll let me put my tinfoil hat on just for a little bit, this could potentially be a pretty big and interesting leak in the sense that there could be a time-gated mission. For the last hour of the Destiny 1 beta, they let us go to the moon. This wasn't announced at all. They just let people do it for literally the last hour. So what if they do something like that again? We already know that for about an hour on the 23rd that they are going to open up the farm social space to test that out. So there could also be a time-gated second mission. I wouldn't be surprised if that for the last hour of the Destiny 2 beta they unlocked this second mission and then players can go and do it. It would certainly be keeping theme with what they did in Destiny 1. So that's an interesting possibility. In any event, guys, that's it for the Destiny 2 news today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative. Now, if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content, be sure to slap that subscribe button. And if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.